This is the Business Storytelling Show, a top global marketing podcast listened to in more than 100 countries, live streamed on social media, and broadcast on DBTV. Christoph Trapp chats with industry leaders to help your company tell better business stories.
Hey, business storytellers, how's it going? Christoph Trapp here, your host of the Business Storytelling Podcast, episode 714 on deck. We're talking about SEO. How is it going to evolve, especially with AI out there in today's digital marketing landscape? By the way, that is AI talk. Don't write crap like that. So I still believe unique content will make a difference, but I just read an article on one of the travel blogs the other day how AI is taking all kinds of traffic from her blog. Now, on my blog, christophtrapp.com, I haven't seen that at all. I've actually seen relatively positive results. I see referrals from Perplexity, Microsoft, Copilot, on all these different sites. So overall, not too bad. But, how will things evolve? How do we measure SEO today? So I'm super excited to be talking to the co-author of Epic Content Marketing. Of course, that's a book that Joe Pulizzi published, I don't know, a decade ago or something like that. And second edition with Brian Piper. Brian is a longtime content director, executive who's been out there. And, he gets stuff done in the higher education field. So super excited to talk with him today about how do we measure SEO and how is it going to evolve. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Christoph.
Nice to see you. And you're in cold and icy Rochester. I'm in cold, super cold Iowa. I think it was minus 14 degrees. I don't know. I haven't gone outside, but that's what I've been told. So
you got us beat. We're only 4 degrees here. So yeah.
You're still in the pluses. So that's a good thing right there. I actually went to Rochester one time. It was a snowstorm and we landed. All the Delta jets were like completely snowed in, and I'm surprised we even landed safely, but the pilots got it to work. But anyway, nice to see you. Now, tell me, how do we measure the impact of SEO today, and how's it different from how it may have been 5 years ago or even a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, typically we would just measure, the amount of organic traffic we got to our website. We'd look at our search rankings and see how many keywords we were ranking for. But, the landscapes have changed. Search is changing as an environment. People are searching in different ways, especially like Gen Z, Gen Alpha. So we're always looking for, new potential students. So they are searching on social, they're searching in communities like Reddit, they're searching using voice search, and they're searching in AI. So now it's a situation where not only do you have to have the best content so that you can beat all the AI generated content that's out there, but you have to have your content in the best places. Now we're still optimizing for search. It's just now search is happening in a variety of different places. So now you've got to look at your traffic, not only your organic traffic, but also how much traffic is coming from social, how much of your traffic is coming from these AI tools, how much is being driven by Reddit. So you're really looking at getting your content into all those channels and then measuring the impact of the traffic volume and the conversions, because I mean, people, especially, potential undergraduate students, the website may be one of the last places they go to find content about you. They may be going to look at your, your reels or your YouTube shorts, maybe your TikToks, if they can still, do that or not. It looks like they can right now. So, it's all about having your content in the right places and having the best content out there.
They still can access TikTok if they did not delete the app. That's been my experience. I deleted it on one device, and then, of course, now it's no longer in the App Store. But on my other device, you can still go on there. In fact, we should be live streaming to TikTok. So if anybody watches on TikTok, let me know. The last time I checked, it only works on the desktop. But we will, who knows? I don't know why it would just be streaming there. But, one thing at a time, one step at a time. Now, the one thing is on social, especially, I find conversions very, very hard to measure. I post product videos from my Amazon storefront all the time, and like you can't really link, So I just say search Christoph Trapp Amazon storefront, and you'll find the product. And I can't even get the results of that, of that search because it's on Amazon. So how do you actually measure social and see that it's working?
Yeah, and a lot of times you're just looking at your website traffic and looking at what is attributed to social. I mean, unless you're putting, yeah, the link in the comments or something like that, depending on what platform you're on, with a UTM code in it, you're not going to be able to directly track that traffic that's coming in from social. Now, you can look at your social traffic as a whole and look at that if that is triggering down through a conversion, so you know if somebody came in from social, but tracking, like, specifically which post or, or how they got there, and like you said, if they go through a third-party site first and then come to your site, it's almost impossible to track that.
You just kind of have to do it, and it's part of the cope model, of course. Create once, publish everywhere, and you're nodding your head. So I mean, just do it, my friends. It works. You can't measure every little thing, but we know it works for a fact. Now, how about the evolution of SEO? I mean, certainly, when people talk about social media, I don't even think about that as SEO, but I guess it all kind of plays together and to some extent. But how do you think AI will impact things? I mean, my opinion really quickly is I think people have to do more, even longer tail keywords and phrases like, I don't know, what's the snowiest college in New York State to attend because I like snow, right? Or I mean, whatever. That's kind of a silly example. But, like, I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. So I've been doing SEO since 1996. It was much easier back then when you could, just include some keywords, and it wasn't really, the search engines weren't really checking to see if you were spamming keywords. So it was much easier to get ranked. But now you really have to think about how you present on every channel. So even your social media descriptions, even the text or the images that you have for your social media banners, all of that can be optimized. You can optimize the names of those images, their alt tags around those images, accessibility first, but you can also include keywords in there, and those images and your social channels come up in standard search. Now when it comes to, optimizing for different keywords, one of the things we're really looking at is optimizing for those featured snippets, those people also ask questions, because a lot of times when people are searching, especially if they're searching for, informational or how to do something, they're going to ask it in the form of a question, especially if they're using voice search. So you're not just targeting for the Google search where you just go in and you type in your keywords that you're targeting, like, research universities near me or something like that. Now people are asking questions. They're asking questions through voice, they're asking questions through the AI tools. So we're really thinking about not only what is the content that you have to put out there to answer those questions and solve those problems, but how are the users asking that? How are they interacting with the different tools and channels to make sure that they're finding the, information that they want to find?
What's interesting to me is, I mean, I'm always a big fan of trying to do every little bitty thing right. I mean, I even do on these shows, which don't always get this many views on YouTube, for example. YouTube music might be different, but I still add them into a playlist. I still add cards. I still add all these different things. So I try to do the right thing. And the other day I started adding alt text on LinkedIn images or LinkedIn slides, technically speaking. So are you saying all those little things are more important than ever? And when something has an alt tag, certainly spend the time filling it in, no matter where it is.
Absolutely, and especially if you're really, like, trying to compete for those top slots or trying to compete for a featured snippet and trying to capture that. I mean, we're constantly going in and looking at, all the different questions we could answer, and then we're looking at, our domain authority scores and seeing what the domain authority scores are of the sites that are already capturing those featured snippets to figure out whether or not it's worth it for us to add that content to our website or to change some of the content that we already have, some of the language that already exists on some of our pages, so that then we could target that particular featured snippet. So we're really focusing on every little thing that we can do to get pushed into that top spot. And even on images, it might be just the difference of having your keyword phrase included in your alt tag one time that pushes you to the top. And then, it's a constant battle because that's what everybody else is trying to do as well. So you've got to constantly monitor, constantly maintain. And we've really been looking at, for all those featured snippets that we have captured, how are we showing up in AI search? How are we showing up in social for those different searches? So we're going in there and doing the searches and tracking, and we are finding that a lot of those featured snippets that we capture turn right around and show up when you're doing a, Perplexity search or a ChatGPT search, where they cite the actual sources that they're using, that we're showing up. We're capturing those featured snippets even within the AI search.
Let's talk about AI search for a second. And I'm a big, big fan of Perplexity. I use Claude, daily. I've used both of them today already. I use Otter, which of course is not a search. It doesn't search anything. But how about, how do people know the accuracy of things? So for example, I go to Perplexity and I ask a question, and sometimes it misinterprets the question, and sometimes there's just not enough information, or there is similar information and it doesn't get it right. A lot of times it gets really, really close. And like back in the day, people would say, oh, Wikipedia, you can use it as a starting point. And maybe you should still use Wikipedia as a starting point today. But I would argue that most Wikipedia pages today are pretty accurate. Very rarely do I find something that's completely wrong. So how do prospective students, how do they figure out when they use AI or whatever that something is even correct, or that they click through? What are those two different aspects?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because most of them, when they're researching things, like my wife and I have 6 kids between the 2 of us who are 18 to 25. So we've got our built-in focus groups that we use. So I'm always asking them how they're searching, what they're looking for. And really, the platform they search on depends on what type of information they're looking for. So if they're just, trying to find out some more information about something, a lot of times they'll start off with TikTok or Reels or something like that, where they can go and get third party reviews or third party information about the school they're interested in or the restaurant they want to go check out. So they're not going to the actual source site itself. They're going to other people, other peers who are out there who may be students, who may have been, customers at the different restaurants or whatever it is that they're trying to research. But, from a content creator perspective, you really want to think about on each of these different platforms, if you're trying to create content on those channels, what are your different audiences looking for? So we know that prospective students are looking on social for day in the life content. So we're trying to work with our students to create opportunities for user generated content. So we've got social media interns who are helping us create our content, and then they're also creating their own content. We're helping promote them, they're promoting us, and then all the content that they create is great content out there for prospective undergraduate students who are looking for someone else talking about the institution. So we're looking for ways to create, contests within those audiences to create more user generated content. So now instead of, just posted on TikTok, oh, they could, be featured on the university homepage if they do a showcase of their, a day in their dorm or something like that. So always looking for those opportunities to get members of those audience who those audiences trust inherently because they're just like them, to create the content around, the different aspects of the university.
Let's circle back to that in a minute and talk a little bit more about influencer marketing, so to speak, and also the importance of backlinks. But before we do that, I want to share a couple of things with everyone really quickly. We do have a little while ago here, business storytelling podcast named one of 125 podcasts from Thinkers 360 thought leaders to listen to in 2025. That's this year. Super exciting to see. And then also I want to share with you, we have this great review here. I'm hooked. I'm absolutely love tuning into this podcast. It's like a master class wrapped in conversation. So really hope if you like the show that you leave a review wherever you leave reviews. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can leave a star rating. Amazon Music, you can do it as well. And just as a friendly reminder, we are live on Amazon. So everything around me, the sound panels, the fake plants, not the Redskins hats, they're no longer for sale, but everything else around me you can buy in my Amazon store as well. And it's linked in the carousel below. Now let's get back to the topic at hand here, Brian. That was just a quick commercial break, but we got to make money somehow and somewhere. Um, Now, the when we talk about backlinks, I mean, I get requests all the time. Link, 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 link to me, and I never actually made that a huge priority. Sometimes through guest blogging, but now guest blogging doesn't like give very good links anymore either, or a lot of sites don't. So, what's the importance when you work with these influencers to get those backlinks, or is that not the strategy at all?
Yeah, we don't focus too much on the backlinks. We really never have. I mean, as a university, we get a lot of kind of organic backlinks that come to us when we put content out or when we put stories out. And most of the backlinks that we look for are internal. We're just trying to create. Um, we've created a bunch of different pillar pages around particular strategic topic areas, and then we're putting as many internal links on those pages as we can that link out to like high performing strategic content that we have up on our website. And that's just flagging to Google that we have a breadth of content in this particular topic area. So that increases the rankings not only for our pillar pages, but also for all the pages that we're linking off of it. So backlinking has never been our strategy as much as just creating a good environment that's kind of all tightly knit together and just putting the best content out there that we can. And especially when we're looking at social, when we're trying to get our users to post about us on social, we're not asking that they post links to anywhere on our website, or even that they drive traffic to our social channel, but just, a hashtag in there, so that we can see that there's engagement, there's conversations, there's awareness being created.
What do you make of all the changes when it comes to social media? I mean, TikTok may or may not be going away, or maybe it's going to be sold to Meta. That's one philosophy, some theory out there. Who knows? Um, but like, how do you focus, and where do you focus, and how do you keep up on what the next thing is for your target audience? I mean, we're trying to be as young as we can in our minds, but we're not the target audience, right? You and I. So how do you keep up on how those audiences change and what the next emerging network is, for example?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that we deal with and struggle with all the time. So our social media interns, our student interns are a huge help in that, and just kind of keeping us focused and aware of the trends and what's going on and what the opportunities are. We lean on them extensively. We do a lot of social listening, a lot of monitoring on social to see where the conversations are happening around the institution, and then around the different kind of strategic areas of focus for us. But you know, it's always building on rented land. We're always looking for opportunities to push those subscribers to, or those followers to, some sort of subscription, a newsletter, or to our website, or to sign up for, email correspondence or something like that. As soon as they request some information and give us some of that first party data, now we've got a better way to connect with them than just through social, which, as we know, may or may not be here tomorrow. And then there's the challenge of all the new social channels that are always coming up. So you want to be first in to go in and at least grab your handle that you're looking for, so that you own that. But you don't want to spend too much time, you know, leaning into those channels until you're sure that your audience is going to be there and is going to be showing up there. So we're kind of in a, jump on first so that we have a presence there, but we're not trying to post in every channel that we can. We're trying to post on the channels where we know we already have a good audience base. We're already getting engagement. We're already getting conversations that are happening around the posts that we put up. But it is a challenge to try to figure out what's new and what's happening. And as much as possible, we lean on members of those audiences.
Yeah, it is a challenge, and you saw everyone on TikTok, telling them where to find them now if it's going away. By the way, in case you are enjoying, and you can admit it, everybody, my digital eye contact, I use a webcam, the Webcam Flex digital eye contact camera. So I'm looking right at you and Brian right here. It's kind of a nice feature, in my opinion, to use one of those. Now, Brian, how about, traditionally we think about maybe blogs, right, to drive some of the informational search. And then, of course, the website should be optimized for SEO. So that's like table stakes, I guess, the website. But let's talk about blogs. What's the role of blogs when it comes to SEO? Do they still have one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think blogs, when we have a variety of different we have our news center where we post news about, things that are going on across the university, but we also have different blogs for different key audiences. So blogs are a great way to kind of segment down or really make sure you're targeting, one single audience that you're really trying to connect with and really add value to. So, we have a blog that we use internally for, making sure that everyone's aware what's going on with our web presence. We turn that into a newsletter that goes out as well. So all of our web developers have one place where they can go and see the latest updates, see what changes are happening within the different templates and frameworks they might be using. So I think blogs still are very important when it comes down to segmenting your audience. I think creating any sort of content that is consistent, relevant, and adds value is a way to get users to anticipate your content coming out and to be looking forward to that and reaching out for the value that they know that content's going to bring to them every week. So I definitely think there's still a place for blogs.
Yeah, I think everything always evolves, of course. But when I write articles, I don't want to say they're shorter, but they're definitely not 3,000 words, and they cover like a very much more niche topic than they may have used to. Instead of everything for the one thing under the sun in one article. Definitely don't do that anymore. Maybe really quickly, like 45 seconds or so. Tell us about the journey to work with Joe on the second edition of Content Marketing.
Well, I was a web developer when I read the first edition of Epic, and it changed my entire career path. So every time I started going to content marketing world, every time I would go there, I would thank Joe for changing my career and getting me into marketing. And then after 4 or 5 years of doing that and then starting to speak at the event, I casually, was asking him in a Slack channel, a book discussion group, when he was going to do a second edition of Epic. And he reached back out and he said, "Oh, if you want to co-author it with me, then let me know and I'll think about it." So I immediately reached out to him and I said, "Yes, I am all in. Sign me up for that." And that kind of started the whole journey there.
Fantastic. Congratulations for getting that out there. And what a great partnership to work with Joe, of course. Maybe 45 seconds here. Tell us who should reach out to you? Who do you work with? Or should they just check out the book and go from there?
Yeah, anyone who does any sort of marketing, I think content marketing is the evolution of marketing, and eventually all marketing will be content marketing. People are looking for questions, answers to their questions and solutions to their problems. They're not specifically out there looking for your product or service. They just want something that's going to help them. And content marketing is the way to get them to know, like, and trust you.
Very true and very hard for some companies to wrap their head around. But the truth is the truth, and it's going to help you drive more revenue long term. And we're out.
Thanks for tuning in. Please rate and review the Business Storytelling Show on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. See you then.